I'm not used to this. Welcome to Type Over 40 here on the Spacebook channel with me, Dan Hadley, and Rosie, the house Dalek, of course. Who could forget Rosie, here to keep an eye on my toxic masculinity. It's been a little while since I've done this, just you and I, one-to-one on the camera like this. None of those other people filling up all those squares. None of that argy-bargy and banter. Old school Type Over 40. It's your before show, after show, and in between show to the Type 40 podcast that I host and throw together for the Fandom Podcast Network, of course, which we drop a new episode of that most weeks now. Hope you're listening. If not, why not? More on that in a moment. Have you been? Yeah, not so bad here, not so bad. Thanks for asking. Still need a haircut, really badly need a trim. I won't be turning too much. Got a bit of a mullet on the go. Adam O'Brien, he should like that one, shouldn't he? Yeah, he loves a mullet, does Adam. But the way I look at it is that if you nip a little bit here and there and then sort of throw it around a little bit, that's how it's been going the last 2 or 3 months. Anyway, but I think I've reached saturation point. And now when I walk past people, I can see them nudging mullet. Is that a mullet that guy's got over there? I'm not the only one. It has to be said. So perhaps I'm getting a little bit paranoid about it, Rosie. I don't know. Maybe I could get her to take some of it out with one of these attachments. I do think they missed a trick there with Dalek attachments. There should have been one for mullets. Exterminate that mullet. Hadley, what's he going on about? I don't know. List of things to talk about. I think the first most pressing thing is thank you. A big thank you to all of our new subscribers here on the Spacebook channel, a great deal of whom have come for the Doctor Who talk. I know you have. We staged a big live stream a few weeks ago now. There was myself, Starry-Eyed Girl, of course. There was Gary Beekler from Nerdrotic. He was on Blue Bonnet Hoovian. She was there. The mega geek Ian Diaz and Mr. Boo Hiss, Mr. Bolstrek, of course, he was on. We had lots of fun for a good 2 or 3 hours talking about fantasy Doctor Who in a far-off parallel dimension world or whatever. Look for that on the channel. It's in the listings. It's doing really, really well. Lots of feedback from that. We're going to go through on another time. But yeah, I know that we had a big load of new subscribers from that. So thank you. If you've come for the Doctor Who talk, there is more. Lots of videos before and plenty more coming while we tweak this. I've got all this new software, this new suite. It's a question of finding out what does what. Really, instead of good old Zoom, this is StreamYard, and it does all sorts of funky things. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the podcast itself. Yeah, we're so many episodes deep on that now. So here we are. What can I show you first? Yes, so the latest episode has just dropped with my newest best friend as the special guest, Ian O'Brien, or Ian O Time Lord, as he likes to call himself sometimes, Rosie. Lots of you might have heard of Ian already. Of course, he was the 2-time Guinness World Record holder for the biggest Doctor Who merchandise collection. And yeah, he's there on the show this time, talking with me, not just about his collection, but about Doctor Who generally and what he loves so much about it, and throwing up some old memories and things. Some of it's about his collection and just about life in general. But I found it a real eye-opener. If you look on that's the fbnet.podbean.com master feed page. So if you go on there, and you'll see our latest episode is at the top, as always, but you can scroll down and no, you can't. Where's that? If you go back here and you can scroll down, you get a list of all our episodes going all the way back, nearly 60 of them. There's when we had John Mosby in a few weeks ago with Carl Wagner to review series 12 and all the rest of it. It's all there. Ever so easy to find. I know I do keep telling people, but you can stream it there, hitting the little orange button. You can stream it there from the website to your desktop, or you can get that on the app for your smartphone, the device of your choice, as they like to say. It couldn't be simpler. And download the MP3s too, to if you want to back up and keep us to hear us whenever you like. There's no account for taste, is there, Rosie? Absolutely not. Yeah, but Ian, that conversation with Ian, that got me thinking, because I am a collector with a small c. I think a great many Doctor Who fans probably are. And yeah, so I realised when Ian was talking to me, he was telling me about this itemised collection of his, how he'd had to break it all down, even down to, well, I won't spoil it for you, but he'd broken it down quite a lot. And I thought, I have no idea how much Doctor Who merchandise I've got. And people ask me that all the time. I don't really need to know. But something Ian mentioned, going right back to the 70s, got me thinking about something that I'd totally forgotten that I got. He was talking about the Dennis Fisher range from the mid to late 70s, which had Tom Baker's Doctor figurine and Leela and the giant robot, if you remember, he was in that. And there was a TARDIS too, which I coveted greatly. I suspect a great many of you did and probably still do. It had got a sort of revolving function, but anyway. There was a Dalek in that, which Ian speaks about, a red-topped Dalek. And I thought, God, that sounds nice. That sounds unique. And then I remembered I had actually got one of these things. Here it is. I think this could be, in fact, the very earliest piece of Doctor Who merchandise I actually own and have owned. A little worse for wear. And of course, the reason why I'd forgotten that I got it is because the top of mine, the dome, hasn't been red probably for about 35 years. I think it's been bleached by the sun and by time. But you can, if you take a peek inside, I'm sure he won't mind if you're gentle and ask nicely there. Underneath, you can see underneath the dome, the still bright red inside. But I really like this. I like the colour schemes of it. I like the fact that the eye stalk is also bright blue. Of course, you've never seen anything like that on TV. And the proportions, yes, Ian, if you're watching, the proportions were completely wrong. Of course, they were wrong. But there's something very charming about this. I don't know where the gun and other arm went. That's long since departed this mortal coil. But yeah, at least the general shape is still intact, and I think it still moves. Yes, it still moves. You'll have to take my word for it. So yeah, this is your Gran Rosie, really, I suppose you could say. Yeah, but it for a very, very long time. And I did have a talking canine as well, but I'm convinced this one came first. I think this was brought by a relative who didn't realise how much I liked Doctor Who. It was sort of just on the off chance, really. But yeah, so what I thought I would do is I've taken a few pictures of this. I'm going to try and do a bit of a stock take of my Doctor Who collection over time. Somebody's got to do it, haven't they? And I suppose it saves my children doing it in the event of my regeneration. We'll see. Yeah, it's only right to find out exactly what I have got, because people do ask me a lot, obviously, as a Doctor Who fan, and the more I rabbit on, the more questions people ask me, I suppose. But yeah, I haven't got a name for this Dalek. If you want to come up with one, do your best. Yeah, keep it clean, obviously. Yeah, I've never had a name for this Dalek, but I had forgotten that I got it, and yeah, it's going to be. Probably not worth a great deal, but it is to me. Lots of sentimental value there, almost as much as Rosie herself. I'm going to put that right back down. Yeah, Daleks. I've got Dapol Daleks. I've got cuddly Daleks. I've got cardboard cutout Daleks, all sorts. And the plan is I will be parading them around at various points. Let's see if I can. Where am I going to parade them? You could be asking. Well, you're about to ask, please. Somebody ask. I'm going to be parading them here in the Type 40 Facebook group that I keep telling people about on the podcast. The Type 40 Facebook group, as I'm recording this today, it's 4 years old now. It's not always been called the Type 40 Facebook group. We've had it for a little while, myself and Starry-Eyed Girl. We sort of set it up and get it motoring, then we change the name. But yeah, this is what you'll find on the wall, and this is where you're going to find pictures of my Dalek and whatever else I bring out. But yeah, generally, it's a pretty friendly place. There's the latest podcast there on the top and lots of posts by people. I don't want to listen to anything he's got to say. But yeah, pictures from friendly faces from the past, classic and new. It's all in there. Our friend Richard Tipple. Have you seen this? Richard, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, preview and whatever this new project is of his. We had lots of feedback about Richard's episode with us. Hoping to get Richard back on at some point when he can say a little bit more. But wow, look at the colours on that. Yeah, but that's the kind of thing. We do like to try and bring whatever we can. Lots of our companions there, throwing in various things that they've seen. There's my mate Dave there. He's been out and about and spotted a real-life TARDIS, sort of. Not so much wheezing and groaning there. The only wheezing and groaning will be done by whoever's inside reading the newspaper, waiting to see what develops. Yeah, so that's where I'm going to put these pictures. Come and join the Type 40 Facebook group. generally, it's a very, very pleasant place. Lots of ideas, lots of shares from people's day-to-day Doctor Who life, and whatever you find out there on social media, everywhere else. You know the drill. It's not rocket science, is it? But we like to think that we do it. Well, how's that Bond song go? Yeah, nobody does it better. What do you think, Rosie? Yeah, maybe. Jury's out. Yeah, always a welcome there, though, just like on the show. What else? Catching up with so much. It's been a long time since I made one of these videos, and that's because we've been experimenting all the time. I do like to keep adding a bit of value, hence the golden name. Where is it? It's over there, whatever. Yeah, so I'm having lots of fun with this studio and making these videos, but it's a very quiet time in Doctor Who generally. Let's get rid of that and get rid of that. It's a quiet time in Doctor Who generally, but now and again, little things bobble up, don't they? And what I'm thinking about in particular is this news story which has arrived recently. Now, there's been whispers about this for the last 2 or 3 months, obviously since lockdown and the dreaded pandemic that's changed all our lives and has brought broadcast television, hasn't it, to a bit of a halt. Everything's stopped production, and the rumor is that it's going to have this huge impact going on. Now, earlier on in the equation, the BBC were sort of making noises that Doctor Who hopefully wouldn't be affected. Now, I couldn't really see how it could not be affected, particularly if they were going to resume photography, actually start filming this September coming. It did seem unfeasible to me. Obviously, people can still write and script edit and even do read-throughs, I suppose, behind closed doors. But actual active production and rehearsal and whatever else they do seemed to me to be a tall order that was ever going to happen. But yeah, our friend Gary at Nerdrotic broke this story, and let's see if I can get this up again. Broke this story, and it's been picked up by Bounding Into Comics, which is written here by John F. Trent. This is his article. It says a new Doctor Who rumor details that current Doctor Who actor Jodie Whittaker and showrunner Chris Chibnall are out after Series 13. The rumour comes from Gary Beekler of Nerdrotic, as I've said. There's Gary's video there. Hello, Gary, if you're watching. Later in the video, Gary explains that it is just a rumour. He explicitly states this, but it does come from the same source that, of course, told Gary about the swapping of the Doctor's gender last year, which is a rumour we'd also heard at Type 40. So, yeah, it's obviously go and watch Gary's video there, go and find the link and go and check that out for exactly what he's got to say. But, yeah, to me, this has been on the cards for a very, very long time. Firstly, there is no way that Doctor Who Series 13 was ever going to not be affected by the pandemic. That's perfectly reasonable. It's nothing that anybody's going to judge anybody for. But yeah, with Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall, it's got to have been a done deal for a long, long time that they're not going to be around for a fourth season. And this obviously being postponed that a little bit further, it could be as late as January 2022 when we see Series 13. It could be, in which case that's a very long time for an actress of Jodie Whittaker's profile, because people do forget she did have a career before Doctor Who. It's a long time for an actor of that profile to be attached to one project. And Chris Chibnall too, this is a guy who was riding the Broadchurch crest when he took the Doctor Who job, and allegedly took it under duress. He didn't really want to be there, or didn't think that he could do it, didn't think he got the time or whatever. So it stands to reason to me that they're not going to view it as something that they're going to want to do for very much longer anyway, and that is regardless of any audience reception, positive or negative. I don't think it's any real reflection on that. But of course, it's not going to notice that those ratings just plummeted, didn't they? The trajectory was like down and down and down and down. What I would hope, I've gone through this enough on the podcast, so that I won't go over old ground. But what I would hope is that during this extended period of time, where they can reflect on the ratings and take stock of what the whole audience is saying, for better or worse, about this product, that they can take a few steps back and make it better and give this like one last shot at delivering something approaching a watchable, robust, and future-proofed season, whatever you want to call it, of Doctor Who. We're also hearing rumours that Series 13 of Doctor Who will be a lot shorter, again shorter than the shortened runs we've gotten used to in the recent past. As few as 6 episodes could be on the way for Series 13. Again, that could be something to do with the pandemic, but to be honest, I think it's more likely the fact that already they seem pretty much out of ideas to me. There's only so much agenda that you can push and push and push to the forefront, and maybe it is going to be 1 6-part arc. Who knows how they could potentially deliver this? But I'd like to think they're going to view it as a creative challenge, Rosie, something that they can meet sort of head on. But on recent experience, it's not looking very likely, is it? Well, we'll see. A lot can happen in 2 years. I'm already fairly detached from it. This character at the centre of it, it's not anybody I recognise as the Doctor, as my childhood hero now at this point. I've never felt this way about Doctor Who. I'm very much, when it comes to new, current Doctor Who, on the outside looking in. So from that perspective, from a few steps removed, I see yet a series that is undoubtedly in trouble. And yes, whoever that guy was on Twitter the other day who sent me a great big ream of reasons why Doctor Who wasn't in trouble, I heard you, my friend. And, you do you. That's all I've got to say. If you're happy, I'm happy that you're happy. But everybody else can tell that Doctor Who is in trouble. Can it be righted? Can it be steered around? I don't know. I personally would argue that The Timeless Children was such a disaster that unless you wipe that completely from canon, just like John Mosby, just like John Mosby suggested on one of the recent Type 40 podcasts, you have to either not refer to it ever again to move forward, or just completely rewrite it almost as quickly as you threw it together. Time will tell. Time will tell. We've got that one more upcoming Christmas special. I'm going to say Christmas upcoming special to get through first before we get on to that. And we've had a little bit about that, not a great deal, but a little. And this comes from, who does this come from, Dan? Jog my memory. This comes from a podcast. This comes from a podcast that we've heard about, and it is called the Beauty Fashion Friends podcast. Let me get this up on screen for you now while I stumble over anything else. The Beauty Fashion Friends podcast, where the guest was Mandip Gill. And they asked her to direct about her future on the show. Of course, now they filmed this upcoming special, Resolution of the Daleks. That's all done. That's all in the can already. Mandip's there, as are Tosin Cole and Bradley Walsh. But it's pretty much confirmed that both Bradley and Tosin are leaving Doctor Who in this upcoming episode. We're pretty damn certain that's about to happen, just like we're very certain that John Barrowman's in it. But it's been assumed that moving forward after that point, that the show will retain the services of Mandip Gill, that she will still be on board as Yaz, as the 13th Doctor's only companion at the beginning, certainly, of whatever Series 13 is going to be. But on this topic, Mandip says, this is on the conclusion, directly about the conclusion of the upcoming special. So this is where they leave it. It's all very secretive. I obviously know where it's left off, but it's so ambiguous. That's what you get for copying and pasting without checking the copy first. That's whoever that is that put this together. But it's so ambiguous, it could go any which way. But with everything that's happening, I've put no pressure on them for an answer. So they've asked her about her continued involvement. It looks to me like at the end of the upcoming special, the Doctor drops them all off, presuming that we might never see any of them again. Now, obviously, Yaz could get the Tegan treatment, couldn't she? If she does leave, she could pop up the following episode. It's not unheard of, is it? But yeah, that's a little bit more wood on the fire of that one. Is Mandip coming back too? I personally suspect that they may clean house entirely. But I think that the Yaz character could benefit with a degree of time off screen to develop, because let's be honest, they've had 21 episodes, 22 if you count this resolution of the Daleks. They've had 22 episodes to develop this character, and Chris Chibnall hasn't. Mandip Gill, I've said before about Mandip, she's clearly a very capable performer and who's very hungry for something to get her teeth into and to show us who Yaz is, but Chris Chibnall will not give it to her. So I think that rather than, in my opinion, Chris Chibnall's a lazy writer. He isn't developing these characters. I think that he'll pick up the option of being able to bench Yaz for an extended period of time at the end of resolution of the Daleks, say 1, maybe even 2 years, not in the Doctor's company. She can maybe go back to her career and develop a little more off screen, and then we'll get to meet her further down the line, and the Doctor could get to meet her when she's a bit more formed, and maybe she'll have a promotion or whatever. Saves them from doing all the hard work of actually having to develop the character on screen, and they can gift the actress something out of the box which is, a bit more fit for purpose. One would hope. We can hope, Rosie, we can hope. Who knows? Yeah, that's it for present Doctor Who. Past Doctor Who continues to be a great joy. Lately, I've been rewatching classic and new Doctor Who. Some of it for the podcast and some of it for my own pleasure. More on that later in the week. We're dropping a new podcast in a few days' time with another lot of guests. That's a riot. I know you're going to enjoy that. I won't tell you which episode it's about. It's about a very specific Doctor Who episode in a very specific place in time. But there's lots of guest voices on that. I know you're going to enjoy it. And I just want to say thank you again. Thanks to everybody who's subscribed. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and share, and come back for more. That would be even better. There will be more later in the week. We're hoping. We've got a little guest lined up, and we've got lots of feedback to work our way through as well. We like to open the mailbag and answer you back a touch and preview what we've got coming forward. But yeah, let us know what you think of all this stuff. What's going to happen in Series 13? What do you want to see of Yaz? Do you think that's a feasible storyline that I've talked about here? Or are you long past caring? Would you just like a complete clean sweep, leave them all behind and move forward, see if they can spend a bit of extended time developing the Doctor? I don't know. Yeah, let me know in the comments section. Like, subscribe, share, and meet me back here for some more Type Over 40 on these fun little video diaries of mine later on. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.